Welcome to Luvitex Engineering, where innovation sparks progress and manufacturing shapes tomorrow.
Okay, let's dive right into today's explainer, where we're going to demystify the core concepts of lean manufacturing by translating them from the factory floors straight into everyday situations you already know. If you've ever felt like your daily workflows or even massive organizational processes are just totally bogged down by this invisible friction, well, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're breaking down some pretty complex operational theories into highly practical visual concepts. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today's explainer. First, what exactly is lean waste? Second, we'll cover TIMWOOD, which is the 7 wastes. Third, spotting that waste on the shop floor. And finally, we'll wrap up with common implementation mistakes. All right, part 1. What is lean waste? From a messy kitchen to the factory floor. To really grasp what lean manufacturing is trying to fix, we actually need to start in a place we all understand perfectly, and that's the home. Because, believe it or not, the exact same inefficiencies that cost global manufacturers literally millions of dollars are probably happening right now in your own house. So, think about this. Have you ever wasted time digging through a totally chaotic pile of kitchen tools just to find one sharp knife? This universally frustrating scenario actually perfectly captures the core problem that lean methodology is designed to solve. Imagine moving into a new apartment. You don't have a proper knife block, so you just dump all your kitchen knives into a giant pile on the counter. Every single time you cook, you're digging through that dangerous pile. It's frustrating, it's slow, and it's completely inefficient. Well, in the manufacturing world, that exact same dynamic absolutely destroys profit margins. The crucial point here revolves around muda, which is the Japanese term for waste. But we aren't just talking about physical garbage. Taiichi Ohno, the father of the Toyota production system, defined it brilliantly. He said it's about wasted effort, time, and resources that a customer just wouldn't pay for. Simply put, if an activity doesn't transform the product into something more valuable, it's muda. And our primary goal as lean practitioners is to train our eyes to see this waste everywhere. Moving on to part 2, TIMWOOD, the 7 wastes and the micro to macro analogy arc. Let's look at our core framework, TIMWOOD. This is an acronym developed by Toyota, and we're going to see how each of these 7 wastes plays out both in our messy kitchen analogy and out there on a massive manufacturing floor. Starting off, the T in TIMWOOD stands for transportation. This is all about the wasted effort of moving materials that are not actively being worked on. In your kitchen, this is like constantly shifting heavy appliances around just to make counter space to chop some vegetables. On the factory floor, the impact is massive. Imagine an operator finishing step A on a batch of 100 products, but instead of moving right to step B, a forklift has to transport that heavy bin all the way to a temporary storage shelf on the exact opposite side of the warehouse, only to bring it back the very next day. That transportation adds 0 value to the product, but it costs time, burns expensive fuel, and really risks damaging the goods. Next up is I for inventory. And man, this brilliantly illustrates how excess hides underlying problems. At home, hoarding 15 steak knives when you only ever use 4 just makes that pile on the counter larger and way harder to dig through. In a manufacturing setting, excess inventory means hoarding raw materials or having a massive backlog of work-in-progress products. And the impact? Well, it ties up your company's cash, it eats up incredibly valuable physical floor space, and worst of all, it masks production issues because you always have extra lying around to fall back on. M is for motion. Now, while transportation is about moving the product, motion is about the physical toll on the creator, on the person doing the work. Rummaging through that drawer or pile of knives is wasted motion, and honestly a great way to accidentally cut your hand. Out on a factory floor, this looks like an operator having to walk back and forth across a terribly laid out shop floor just to find the right part bin, or constantly bending and reaching for poorly placed tools. This repetitive, non-value-adding movement slows down production big time and leads to worker fatigue and repetitive strain injuries. Then we've got W, which stands for waiting. This one is incredibly common. It's just idle time where absolutely no value is being created. In the kitchen, your food prep is totally stalled out while you search for the right knife or while you wait for a dull one to be sharpened. Back in our factory scenario, imagine that batch of 100 products finishes step A, but the operator for step B is busy. So the batch just sits there. It waits for hours, maybe even days, for materials, information, or equipment to become available. The impact here is a severe decrease in productivity and massive delays in actually getting the final product to the customer. Moving along, O is for overproduction. Lean experts widely consider this to be the absolute worst kind of waste, because making more than you need triggers literally all the other wastes. At home, it's cooking a huge meal for 10 people when only 2 are eating. On the macro scale, think of an engineering department that just refuses to standardize. Instead, they overproduce by creating a highly complex, totally custom CAD drawing from scratch for every single client order, even when standard templates would work perfectly. This completely bottlenecks the entire company, inflating lead times and eating up engineering hours for no good reason. That brings us to our second O, which is overprocessing. This happens when you put more work into a product than the customer actually requires. In our kitchen, if you only have a dull knife, you have to constantly stop and sharpen it just to cut a simple tomato. You're working way too hard because of a bad process. In manufacturing, imagine a flaw happens in step A for a batch of 100 parts, but nobody catches it. The parts move to step B, and now the operator has to spend an entire week reworking and fixing all 100 defective pieces. That's a massive amount of overprocessing time that could have been totally avoided with a better initial standard. Finally, D is for defects. Using poor tools or bad processes eventually and inevitably leads to broken products. A dull, improper knife slips and ruins your meal, or worse, sends you to the hospital. In the factory, defects are flaws in materials or workmanship that result in a product the customer can't even use. The impact? Total disruption. The production line halts, engineers and managers have to drop everything to troubleshoot, materials are scrapped, and your customer trust is heavily, heavily damaged. Now, while the original Tim Wood framework brilliantly covers physical processes, modern lean thinking actually adds an S to the end, making it Tim Woods. That S stands for skills, highlighting the tragic waste of ignoring human creativity. When organizations fail to engage their employees in problem solving, when they don't offer proper training, or when they force brilliant people to operate in isolated silos, they are literally throwing away their most valuable asset. The people actually doing the work usually know the best way to fix the process. Part 3. Spotting waste on the shop floor. Translating theory into visual management. Now that we know exactly what these 8 wastes look like, let's explore how we actually identify and eliminate them in the everyday chaos of a real-world manufacturing environment. The secret weapon here is making the invisible visible. So, to fix that messy kitchen or a highly disorganized factory floor, we use the 5S methodology. It's a really straightforward step-by-step process. First, you sort, removing anything you don't need, like those 11 extra steak knives. Then, set in order, giving every single item a specific marked home. Shine means keeping the area perfectly clean so any defects stand out immediately. Standardize ensures everyone follows the exact same rules. And finally, sustain is the discipline to keep it all going. 5S is the bedrock of a visual workplace because it immediately eliminates those wastes of motion and waiting. Once everything is organized, we implement lean visual management tools. We use things like Kanban boards with color-coded cards to control the workflow and strictly limit our work in progress, which directly prevents overproduction and inventory waste. We install and-on systems. These are bright signal lights that operators can trigger to immediately flag defects, stopping the line right there before bad parts can spread. And we use Gemba boards right out on the shop floor to track our key performance indicators. This way, every single worker knows at a glance if we're winning or losing that day. Part 4. Common implementation mistakes and the pitfalls to avoid on your lean journey. Before you rush out to completely overhaul your company's operations, it's totally critical that we look at the common traps organizations fall into. Implementing lean isn't just about throwing a Kanban board up on the wall. It requires a fundamental shift in company culture. You know, the biggest missteps usually revolve around human elements, not the tools themselves. So many companies fail because the leadership just isn't actively involved. They try to mandate lean from a corner office, but they never actually walk the floor. Others try to apply a really rigid one-size-fits-all approach instead of tailoring it to their unique culture. They ignore process variation, forgetting that you simply can't improve a process that isn't stable in the first place. And sadly, a lot of organizations completely neglect to celebrate their team's wins, which instantly kills morale, and then resistance to change just creeps right back in. I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful thought from Henry Ford. Some experts argue that the ultimate unlisted waste is simply self-doubt, the belief that we just can't change how things are done here. But as we've seen in today's explainer, by identifying those Tim Wood wastes and applying visual management, total transformation is absolutely possible. So I'll leave you with this question. Look around your own workspace, or hey, even your own kitchen. What processes are you finally ready to lean out and optimize today?
Thank you for watching Luvitex Engineering. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep inspiring the future of manufacturing together.